Hi, and welcome to another special edition of BYOB recorded live from Killer Nashville Writers Conference here in Franklin, Tennessee. And we are super excited to be joining some author friends, some new friends, and just having a great time. And of course, Laura and I, back in person, we can actually touch.
Yeah.
First time in 4 years this weekend, finally actually being in the same room doing the show. So we're excited, and we are looking forward to introducing you to some great new authors. We've got 2 of them joining us right now, and we've got some more on deck for another episode. So this is going to be a lot of fun. We have a green room. That makes it sound really important.
Yeah. It's not green though.
It's not
It's
green.
beige.
We have a beige room. That's what we have.
It's more exciting.
So we are super glad that you guys are joining us and that you braved coming up here in the mysterious signs that were posted downstairs.
This is the crime scene.
Come to the crime scene room and
No
we'll
crime
interview
scene.
you about your work.
Oh, thanks so much for having us. Thank
Well,
you.
we are so glad.
You're
So
welcome.
I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves to the viewers so that you can actually tell them everything that you would like for them to know, as opposed to us reading a bio or something like that. That would be truly dull. So
Okay.
we'll let you go first.
All right. Well, I'm Rodney Sylar, and I'm raised here in Middle Tennessee. And so some of the books that I've written are about Middle Tennessee. And the main series I've written is called Yellow Fever, Finding the Treasure. Well, Yellow Fever is the series. Finding the Treasure Within is the first big book in that. And then there's a series there'll be 3 other books. One of them's already out called The Caged Ruby, part of that series. And then I'm also writing a murder mystery. And these first ones are more for young adult up, and it doesn't start out like a murder mystery, but they do happen to find a few bodies along the way.
As they should.
They should, and rather skeletal, but they find some bodies, and that date back 100 years or something. So they get to solve some of those things. So it is got some murder involved, and my background is I was raised on a farm, Middle Tennessee, so I've had lots of experiences in the area, and a lot of the things in my book series are based on cave exploring and all kinds of things that I did
Now tell me,
in this area.
I'm going to pause you there because
Sure.
I live here. And so when you say cave exploring, what caves are we talking about around here?
Well, mostly wild caves. I have some more county down in Lynchburg, Tennessee, and even though it's a tiny little county, there's probably about 100 caves in that county. They're all around. People don't know about a lot of them because farmers try to keep them covered up so the cows don't fall in them and all that. But if you poke around, you can find a lot of caves. So we did when I was.
That's spooky now. Aren't you
I was
afraid
gonna-
you're going to get stuck in a
I
cave?
did,
Did you?
and it happened to find its way into the book.
Oh,
was-
fun.
That's always the
So a
best.
lot of the
real
things that
stories.
happened
I mean,
me
fun
and-
for us, not
Yeah, I
fun
know.
for you.
A lot of things that happened to me ended up happening to characters in the book. So there's no
Love it.
one character that is me, but there's lots of things that I did that they end up getting involved with. The thing that's regrettable, though, in the book, they find all kinds of treasures, and I never did.
Oh,
Oh, it
That's
sounds like
so
Tom and
sad.
Becky in the
Aw.
cave. It sounds like
Yeah.
Tom Sawyer a little bit.
There's a little
Mhm.
Tom Sawyer, a little Huck Finn kind of stuff going on, and it's lots of adventure. I had one reader that called me and complained. She said, my main character is named Amber. They said, won't you please leave Amber alone? Every time she's up, you beat her back down again. But it's about kids. It's a really clean book. There's no bad language in it. And it may make you think there's going to be at some points, but they always resolve it without a lot of bad language. There is a little blood and stuff because these kids get hurt a little bit along the way, and the bad guys really get hurt.
Oh, good.
So,
We like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so anyway, that's kind of what the series is about. And after I got that series going, they're not all finished yet. Only 2 are published, and the other one is called Sky Bones, and it's
That's a great title.
Yeah, that
It's
is a
a-
great title.
interesting novel be coming out hopefully in maybe 5 or 6 months. And it's a true murder mystery with lots of intrigue and international travel and all sorts of things like that.
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
I had to ask about the caves too, because recently I went to Cumberland Caverns and got to see a concert in a cave, the coolest concert venue ever.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine who lives here, she's from Franklin too. We have been trying really hard to find our own cave because we want to have a rave in a cave.
Oh.
I don't know if it's
I
just
don't
the
know
rhyming
about
thing,
that.
but we wanted to have like a silent rave, like where they have the headphones on and have this like whole thing, like
Maybe
have a party
this
in a
is
cave.
your fella to
We
tell you
don't
about the
want
caves.
caving in on the raven, a cave. It's not a, cave-in raven. It's more of just the actual have a party there. But we thought that would be a lot of fun. And then, of course, we have Cumberland Caverns where you can go see a great concert.
Yeah.
If you're ever here, you should go.
Might be able to help you with that, but
Ooh.
most people that have caves try to keep people out of them.
Yeah,
liability
it could be
things,
There's
dangerous.
a lot of
Yeah.
liability, but
So- But you might be able to find one. There's a lot of caves.
You've got your
I
cave
have my cave expert
man
now.
here.
My cave.
Caveman.
If anyone takes anything away from this podcast, it will be that he is the caveman. We'll try to make sure that there's more relevance than just that one conversation. Sorry about that. I digress.
Anyway, enough about me, I guess. I worked as an engineer all my life. My degree is actually in science, taught school for a while, and I've had a pretty diverse experiences around the country.
Yeah.
And I've got 13 patents, so I'm into the science thing a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And so now I'm close to retirement, so I do a little writing.
Love it. Absolutely love it. You're talking to two teachers as well, so
Yeah.
all these fun things. Listen, I
Writing
love
isn't our day job.
It's not our day job, and I love hearing what other people's day jobs are. I mean,
Mhm.
that makes it a lot of fun to know where everybody is coming from and how they end up in writing and how their own life experiences fuel that passion and fuel their stories. So very interesting stuff. Your turn, Mr. Careful, you'll end up in my novel. We love his shirt.
Look at the shirt.
Check
It's
the shirt.
great.
Careful, or you'll end up in my novel. Love it.
So my name is J. Robert Kinney. I write mystery, suspense, thrillers. Originally from North Carolina, but I now live in Tennessee, just in Knoxville. So it's about 3 hours from here,
Beautiful
where we
country
are.
out there.
It's beautiful. I love East Tennessee. I have a little bit of a varied background, bounced around a little bit. I've taught some college courses in international politics. My specialties are along the lines of international conflict. So I have a PhD in international politics, but I specialize in terrorism, radicalization, anything along those lines. Currently do security work along behavioral science focus. So anything psychology related to national security. That's pretty much what I
Sounds
work on.
That's my
fascinating.
name
I don't
come
think-
up.
Yeah, you haven't gotten us on
Not-
your
not
radar,
yet,
have
not
you?
yet.
All right,
Um,
I'm gonna have to behave.
So that's kind of my background. I also have a master's degree in forensic science. So that's crime scene investigation, and I put all that in my books. I'm just finishing up a trilogy now that I call the Volya series, which is based after a real life terrorist group that existed in Russia about 100 years ago. In real life, they were all executed and wiped out. The premise of my books is a few of them survived, went underground, and have been building strength for about a century, and are kind of re-rising again with some of the same aspirations. And so the third book in that trilogy comes out in the next couple of months. And so that's me in a nutshell.
Him in a nutshell sounds way more interesting
Yeah,
than me in a
I
nutshell.
know, it does.
I mean, in a nutshell, PhD, master's degree.
I know, just
You just never know.
You never know. You never know who you're going to meet sitting across the
Especially at
table.
Killer
from her.
Nashville.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
it's easy
you write what you know as well. So like
Yeah.
you said, you write and put the caves into your books. My books tend to be very international based, thrillers, terrorist groups, those sorts of things. Very conflict heavy on that front.
Where can we find your books? Are they available Amazon, or
Amazon,
your
yes.
website?
Yeah.
Yeah, Amazon's
That's
probably the best spot.
Yeah.
Paperback, Kindle. I have audiobooks for a couple of them out now as well.
Did you narrate them?
I did narrate them,
Listen,
which
you've
was
got
a lot
the
of
voice.
fun.
What kind of a voice
He's got
kind
the
of narrator?
voice.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I've actually hosted a podcast for a while on
Nice.
international politics, so that's probably where I got that. As I taught at a university for a few years as well.
Yeah, teach your
Um,
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I got a newfound respect for voice actors, though. It's a lot harder than it sounds.
I bet. Yeah, you can really strain your voice, can't you, if you don't take care?
That,
Be very
I would
careful
get
with it.
really
I'm going to do my audiobook, I think.
Yeah.
So I need to take some
Well,
tips from you.
it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it. The recording was a lot of fun. I kind of bought a nice microphone, got it set up at my little home office. It's been a lot of fun to do it.
Oh, good. That's good to hear because it intimidates me a little bit. So
It
it's
intimidates
nice
me
to-
a little bit too. I was on radio and I did some things, but audiobook narration.
The recording wasn't too bad. The production side, editing and making
Yeah.
sure that everything is normalized, sound levels, that was some complicated things that were a little over my head. I had to teach myself.
Do you use Audacity?
I do use Audacity. Yeah.
See, that's That's what I use for our
that's
podcast
what
audio
Yeah,
too.
Audacity is great.
Love
So that's
Audacity.
good.
Love Audacity. But I think that I would get so into reading the book that I wouldn't notice all the things that I'd screwed up, and then I'd have to keep going back and doing it again because I'd want to just like keep going through the story. I mean, Laura and I both have theater backgrounds as well. And so I think we get into the acting and the reading and we're like gonna get into the mood of it. And
Absolutely.
I don't realize that I've like skipped over that word because I knew what that word was, but now it's like missing and people are going, what did they say?
I will say, recording the audiobooks really taught me to read my books out loud when I'm writing them too, because you catch things that you don't when you're just writing.
That's
You catch-
Oh, I
catch
never thought of
mistakes,
that.
especially in
Good idea.
dialogue.
I tell my
Uh,
students to do that all the time, and I'm terrible about doing it myself.
yeah, that lesson really taught me the importance of reading it out loud.
My students are always like, I don't want to read it out loud, Miss Nash. I don't want to read it out loud. It's like, do you have a dog or a cat that will sit still long enough? Like, I'm not asking you to read it to an audience. I'm saying read it out loud so you actually catch those things. And then I don't do it myself. So
I've read mine out loud as an editing phase. And I've also had, after they were published, had my wife read them to me. as we're
Oh,
driving.
great. Good idea.
That's
yeah.
great.
And that's a good way to catch things that when you're hearing it from somebody else, it makes it easy. It gets a little late once it's published, but
Mhm.
that'd be a good thing to do also early in the game or before you get them published.
That's good.
Yeah. Also, as you were saying, when you know what it's supposed to say, your brain tells you that's what it says.
Mhm.
But having somebody else read it for you.
You can read
Mhm.
right
I
over
would do
words
that
that aren't
in
even
my
there.
house.
Just
Mhm.
make them
Yeah,
up.
that's a good
Mhm.
idea.
That's
That's right.
great
One of
idea.
my kids to do it since my husband won't read. So.
I plan to read my own
Scott won't
audiobooks,
read.
That would be great.
but my problem is, even though it's the kind of book it is, there's a lot of emotional things in it.
Mm.
And I get choked up reading my own books, which
Mhm.
good and bad, I guess it means there's some emotion written into them.
I think
But it's hard to do an audiobook.
And if you have your books are set in Middle Tennessee, I think there's something to be said for having that Middle Tennessee accent in it as
Oh,
well.
I have an accent?
It's the rest of us.
Just a smidge.
I love that. I mean, it's almost like having Andy Griffith read his own when he would read, and radio shows and things that he would do, and the stories that he's telling. His accent makes those stories so much more just a rich experience for the listeners.
Well,
So
it puts
would
you
be
in the
great.
story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it absolutely does. And so I think narrating the story, it's bringing that reader to Middle Tennessee just through hearing somebody from Middle Tennessee narrate the book. I mean, somebody with no accent whatsoever that's been trained to have just a neutral
Radio
accent.
voice, yeah.
I don't know that it would make it as much fun to listen to as
Yeah.
it would to be in more of a regional accent.
I travel all over the country, and when I go in some northern states, I've been in places before, and they say, "Would you say that again? I just want to hear. I just want to hear your voice."
It is. It's comforting. It's
Uh-huh.
a comforting voice.
It
Yes.
is. I love the
Yes.
Southern accent.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm from South Louisiana. I don't really have a South Louisiana accent. I don't have a Tennessee accent. I don't know what
Yeah,
my
I hear it a
accent
little bit.
is, but I have a little bit of an
Just a
accent.
hint, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a hint, but I love those richer, fuller, more localized accents. They're fun to listen to. They really
They
are.
are. Yeah.
They are. All right. So social media, let's get the folks finding you. So where on social media can folks find you?
I think my email is rodneysylar@comcast.net, and they can send me an email. I've also got a website that's rodneysylerbooks.com,
Mhm.
which is very convenient.
Yep.
But I haven't really developed a lot on that yet. There's some things there where you can get books and things, but it's not really a highly developed website. It needs some work. But rodneysylerbooks.com
Progress.
or rodneysyler@comcast.net.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, so I'm J. Robert Kinney, Kinney, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the website. And they're all the same, jrobertkinney.com.
Dr. Kinney.
Yes.
Dr. Kinney, Master Kinney, all these various titles. Do you like put everything behind your name when you sign it in the book?
It depends on the setting.
I love it. Well, I am Nola Nash. She is Laura Kemp. And we are at Killer Nashville and super, super excited to have some more folks in our beige room,
Beige room. You can
waiting
hear
to
'em.
be interviewed
Waiting to
today.
come in.
So we are going to get onto our next group and we will see you next time on BYOB. As a reminder, this is a copywritten podcast of Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. We'll see you next time.